What up, it's Shankster94, and welcome to the prologue of my full play of Resident Evil Survivor, the first spin-off title in the Resident Evil game franchise, and the first game in the Gun Survivor series. So just so you know, this prologue is meant to give you some details about the game in general, and information on how I will go about playing the game. I will not be actually playing the game in this video, so move on to the first playthrough if you want to skip this stuff. So being a spin-off, this game makes a major departure from the original three games in terms of gameplay. For the first time, we play the game in a first-person perspective instead of the traditional third-person fixed camera angles. The only occurrences where we leave this view are during cutscenes. Everything else about the gameplay is pretty similar to the game's predecessors, primarily Resident Evil 2. The zombie models, animations, and sound effects you will begin to notice as I play through are taken directly from Resident Evil 2. However, the element of saving your progress has been majorly demolished. There are no save rooms, ink ribbons, or item boxes. The only form of saving is when you die and decide not to continue, which will save your item inventory, but not your progress in the game, meaning you'll have to start back at the beginning, just with whatever you collected. Having said that, Survivor introduces the continue option upon dying, instead of taking you straight back to the menu. Another new element that Survivor introduces is carrying over items. After beating the game, you can then save your score, and the guns and ammo that you had will carry over to the new game that you load from the save file. This, of course, will make each sequential game easier than the last. Now let's talk about the ranking system that this game has. Rank is generated by taking 5 factors into account. The typical requirements from previous games are the amount of time it takes to complete the game and the amount of first aid sprays that you use. New requirements, however, include your hit ratio as a percentage, the amount of enemies that you defeat, and whether continues have been used. The highest rank is an S rank, which I will try to achieve in one of my playthroughs, because an S rank is required to unlock the only unlockable weapon in this game, the infinite rocket launcher. Also happens to be the only unlockable at all. If I am unable to achieve the infinite rocket launcher in the initial playthrough, then I will show myself unlocking it in the bonus video and epilogue. So before I reveal my plan for the game, let's follow tradition and view the demos for this game so you can see some gameplay. My head aches and I can't remember anything. My only hope is this gun. I must remember. I must survive. Well, what this entails will come about later. Alright, so first person's perspective, you see the equipped weapon and the amount of ammo it's taking, along with the amount of ammo it contains, along with your health status. So now you don't have to go to the menu to see your health status. And we got a classic zombie. So like I said, the zombie model and the animation is pretty similar to Resident Evil 2. However, the way he goes down is kind of weird. Classic Resident Evil 2 sound glyph there. Oh boy. So crows. Alright, so there's an example of gameplay for you guys. First person. That's pretty much the major difference from previous games. Other than that, just classic puzzle solving and such, so a lot of similarities. I will tell you this here and now, though. Resident Evil Survivor is probably the easiest game I've ever played. It is one of the easiest games in the entire franchise. You can get through it in less than an hour if, you know it well enough. if you don't know it that well, I don't see why it should take you more than an hour and a half, to be honest. Unless you're constantly dying, of course. But let's go ahead and watch another demo. Alright, we are surrounded by zombies. Aiming is drastically different since it's first person. Yep, door animations are the same. Uh-oh. Alrighty. Anyway, because the game is so easy, we will not be on it that long. Not nearly as long as 1, 2, and 3. I will personally make sure of that. And after Survivor, we'll be moving on to the next main series title, Code Veronica. Of course, more on that later. Alright, let's watch the last demo. I'll skip the text. Alright, long hallway. And we can run still. However, I think the 180-degree quick turns no longer in this game. Not too sure about it. Okay, you saw that right there. That looked like a 180-degree quick turn. But that's not technically what it was. What that was is another new feature that this game has. With the press of the L1 button, it will switch targets between enemies, areas, and key items. It's a great way to know where you're supposed to go, sort of, or to use precision aiming. Alrighty, so there's the demos for you guys. Now you got a view of the gameplay. Now for the last bit of information I'm going to tell you guys in this prologue, which will be my layout of playing Resident Evil Survivor. So there will be a total of 3 playthroughs. This is because there are a few occasions where my path will split into 3 choices. Each of these paths can trigger different events within the game, but they all lead to the same outcome in the end. It's tough to tell which of the 3 paths contains the most canonical events within the game, but after some exploring, I think one path tells a more canonical story than the others. Since Survivor is a spin-off, some could argue that it may not be canonical to the series at all. Others, like myself, prefer to think of it as a related side story branching from the more historical events in the Resident Evil universe. Unfortunately, you cannot take all 3 of these paths in a single playthrough of the game because these areas usually require a key that is discarded automatically after usage. This game basically forces you to play it 3 times anyway, since they make it an actual goal to acquire all of the weapons in the game. 3 of the handguns are found in each choice of one of the areas where the path splits into 3 options, thus forcing you to traverse each and every one to get all of the weapons. There are no minigames in Resident Evil Survivor, so my full play of this game will be complete once I have all of the weapons in the game, including the unlockable infinite rocket launcher. So here's what I decided for the order I'm going to play the game. It will be pretty much how I played Resident Evil 3, but in reverse. The first playthrough will actually be the most canonical that I see fit, but I'll still take my time searching as many areas as possible, watching all the cutscenes, collecting all the files, etc. The second playthrough will be my real attempt at achieving an S rank, so I'll be speeding through, skipping any previously seen cutscenes and door animations for you guys. And the final playthrough will depend on if I get that S rank or not, but either way, I'll take the last of the paths that I haven't traversed yet, of course. Alrighty folks, so there's a bit of information about the game and how I will play it. I hope you enjoyed the prologue, and I hope to see you in my actual playthrough of Resident Evil Survivor. Peace out!